Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We are going to be talking about Kringle Candle Autumn Harvest. Now, I was initially sent the Fall 2026 collection in PR, and this is one of the candles that was part of that collection. However, this fragrance I did purchase. This was not sent to me in PR because honestly, they did not have these candles poured yet by the time they were sending that PR out to the ambassadors who were receiving it. And so I did go ahead and purchase this back on July 9th when the fall candles were launched. I do know that this is a returning fragrance. And the other reason why I am saying that this review is really, really helpful going into not only the fall season, as I know, we are now in the month of August. A lot of people are getting ready for some maybe late summer to fall transitional fragrances. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you're still full blown enjoying summer fragrances, which is that is you. You keep doing that. Enjoy it. But now that we are starting to look towards fall, and also because Kringle will be having their Part 1 Halloween launch happening later on this week, I thought that this review would be very, very helpful, in particular if you are looking to either get a thought process or review on not only just this name of this fragrance, which is Autumn Harvest, but if you are interested in Graveyard Night, which is part of their Part 1 Halloween launch, it's a returning fragrance. This review is going to be helpful for you because, spoiler alert, you guys, this fragrance has the exact same fragrance notes as Graveyard Night. So I feel like you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 candle review here because I have not had Graveyard Night before, but in listening to some of my fellow ambassadors and other people who are frequent Kringle customers who have had it in the past, and then also just looking at the sheer fact that the fragrance notes are the same, they're listed and structured the same in their listing. They are the same fragrance. So I feel like, again, if you want Autumn Harvest, or if you're interested in picking up Graveyard Night because you like the Halloween packaging, this review should hopefully be very helpful for you to get an idea of fragrance as well as the performance. So this is one of the new 3-wick vessels that I am reviewing. This is 22 ounces of 100% soy wax. I'm sorry, you guys, this thing is kind of off and it's driving me nuts. 100% soy wax. This does retail for $31. Now, I do believe that the Halloween vessel of Graveyard Night will retail for $34. So there's a little bit of a price difference on them. Yeah, got some, looks like some little like autumnal looking corn and these little small pumpkins. Very, very like fall-ish looking type of label here. Again, depending on the aesthetic of your home. Maybe you're somebody who likes to just decorate for fall, or maybe you like to go all out for Halloween. I will pop in a picture right here, you guys, of Graveyard Night. So if you're interested in that design aesthetic for your home, maybe for the Halloween holiday, that might be something that if you like these fragrance notes, you might want to pick up. Okay, Autumn Harvest. This one here that I am reviewing has a pour date of July 1st, 2026. The fragrance notes are listed as top notes of Anise Star, Bayberry, caramel, and fruity. Mid notes of cinnamon, clove, pumpkin, and spice. Base notes of musk, powdery, and sweet milk. So this is one of those fragrances, you guys, that I have frequently said with Kringle, you need to burn it to get a little bit more accurate assessment, because this is definitely one of those fragrances that changes from cold sniff to on burn. And even then, I'm going to tell you guys, on burn, it takes you on a little bit of a journey. So on cold sniff, I have to tell you guys, I did not know what to think about this. I wasn't exactly like excited to burn this one on cold sniff. One of my friends and fellow ambassadors, Drew, said that this kind of reminds him a little bit of like baby vomit on cold sniff. And while I won't go to those lengths to say that I feel like it's that like nasty smelling on cold, I will say on cold, there is kind of a sour, almost lactonic note that I pick up. It's definitely more, I kind of fall into the camp more of my friend McKenna, who said it kind of smelled like spiced, sweetened condensed milk. There was a little bit of sourness on cold sniff, I would say, about this. However, When this candle is burning, it definitely transforms. I'm very happy to say that I don't pick up on like a sour lactonic note at all. You guys know that my initial thoughts, and I ended up decluttering what was it, the new brown butter pear, because I said that that one, when it was burning, smelled like sweetened cream cheese. My nose does not tend to like lactonic notes. I don't like anything that comes across too creamy, too yeah, my nose will just detect it as sour, and I don't like that. I'm happy to say that I don't detect that in this fragrance. I think it is balanced out probably by those middle notes of spice. You get the cinnamon, the clove. None of them are fighting with each other, I feel like, to be the most dominant. So it's not like a very dominant cinnamon note or a clove note. It's not as clove heavy as, say, you would get from Bath and Body Works pumpkin clove, or even Caramel Sunday's Fall Gathering, where you detect a distinct clove note. The spice in here it's there, but this is not a super spicy fragrance. To me, what I would say, this is definitely more of a sweet, slightly creamy scent, again, but not leaning lactonic. And it's funny because there's a top note of caramel in here, and the anise star. I know anise star for some people can really pull licorice like. I despise licorice. I hate licorice. And my nose doesn't detect this as licorice. The fruity and the caramel. Here's where that's interesting, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys, when I initially light this candle, I will say for about the first 30 minutes that this candle is lit, my nose really interprets this as those as a caramel fragrance, but it's like a milky caramel. It's like the caramels that I'm thinking of, those little like craft square caramels. You know, those ones that you get like at the store, and you can use them to easily melt down to make like caramel dipped apples or something. It's that type of caramel. It's not like a homemade, really deep, buttery, lots of brown sugar caramel. It's definitely more of what I would call artificial caramel, in terms of like mass market produced caramel that you're just going to be eating. It's maybe not even got as much depth as, say, like a Werther's chewy caramel. It's definitely reminding me of those little like craft square caramels initially upon burn. But here's the thing, after those 30 minutes, this even it goes more so from being that milky caramel. To me, this sounds really weird, you guys. This is a warm gourmand fragrance. In some ways, you guys, it almost reminds me of like a waffle. It's got like, there's a slight amount of savoriness of it from like a whipped butter on it, not not a dense like thick square of like butter. It's not buttery in terms of, say, the Caramel Sunday Sweet Autumn, which to me was just way too dense and buttery. This is more of like a whipped butter, and there's sweetness to this fragrance that is almost in line with like a syrup. But again, the syrup is not like your artificial syrup. It doesn't come across as overly maple like. But it's just the sweetness that you would get from like a natural maple syrup. I don't know if I'm describing this very well. It's not maple to me. I am going to say I'm not picking up on maple. So if you're afraid that what I'm saying is that it's maple, no. But it's that same sweetness that you would get, I would say, from a maple fragrance without it being maple. I guess that's the best way that I can describe it. But it doesn't get as cloyingly sweet because you've got something that almost reminds me of like whipped butter. And then there's just a general warmth to this candle that keeps things from getting to be too uh, too sweet and cloying. Um, this one is a very complex fragrance, I would say. And again, it starts one way on cold. When it's burning, it starts one way, and then it transforms. So I would say that if you are somebody who loves sweet gourmands, this is not like a cookie, it's not like a cake. To me, this is just kind of a good, warm, cozy, spicy type of gourmand fragrance. It doesn't lean too lactonic or sour. I am enjoying it. Is it a fragrance that I see myself wanting to repurchase? No. And I will tell you guys that I feel like I get enough of the fragrance after about 3 to 4 hours This one for me, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to move on from it. I would also find it to be a little bit too much for my nose personally, which you guys know I talked about this. I said I think I'm discovering that I'm not as much of a gourmand lover as I thought I was. I like this fragrance paired with a more like fresh outdoorsy fragrance. So I've recently done some reviews on Autumn Leaves from Caramel Sundays, as well as the new Fireside and Leaves from Bath and Body Works. I would also recommend pairing this maybe with like Aspen Ridge. I like something that has more of like an apple and outdoorsy leaves accord to kind of counteract the sweetness of this fragrance. Um, Again, it's a like for me. I definitely have a place for it in my collection. Am I going to declutter it? No. I definitely have other candles that it can work with, but I don't love it enough that I feel like I want it to be backup worthy or repurchase worthy. So that was a long time to explain the fragrance, but I feel like, again, because this is available in 2 different formats, it's also a returning fragrance from not Caramel Sundays, I'm sorry, from Kringle. You guys know I review so many candles, sometimes I get my brands mixed up. Because this is a returning fragrance to Kringle, I wanted to be able to try to accurately describe this fragrance because it's very, very complex, and it's not what you think it is on cold sniff. At least to my nose, it's not. So maybe I can get through the performance a little bit faster because the performance is a little bit more easy to describe and cut and dry than the actual fragrance itself. So you're seeing here really nice, healthy wicks. These are burning pretty hot and fast. I will say that this is one of the candles that you will probably want to trim the wicks on prior to lighting. You don't want to trim them too low. But I think I forgot to trim my wicks before I started filming this review, or before I even lit this one today. I do also have a ceiling fan going on overhead, hence why you see the wicks dancing around a little bit more. Nice deep wax pool. I've had this burning now for about 2.5, 3 hours. Performance on this one, you guys, is very, very good for me. It's a solid 8, I would say, in terms of the throw on it. I would say the fragrance itself is probably more of like a 7.5 in terms of the strength, but I actually think in this case, again, given all of the fragrance notes here, I actually think that 7.5 in terms of 7.5, almost 8, it's somewhere in there. It is perfect. If it were any stronger, I would find it to be cloying. I would not enjoy it. So I do find that the strength of the scent itself, it's definitely noticeable, definitely detectable. Everybody who's walked into my home when I've had this burning has smelled it instantaneously. They know that something's burning. They say it smells really good. But with that being said, you guys, if it were any stronger, I feel like it would be too much. And in fact, I will say that for me personally, I only burn this candle out in the open concept area of my home. I was trying to evaluate some other candles this morning while I was burning it. So I initially just had this lit in my bedroom in there, and it's too strong for me in a closed concept. This one for me personally, again, I think it's the fragrance profile. It's pretty, but I think I just enjoy it a little bit more in an open concept because I don't want this one to be too strong. It gets to be too much for me in a closed concept. This performs a little bit better for me in the open concept. So I would say that if you are somebody who maybe has similar fragrance preferences as I do, maybe you don't want smack you in the face, super sweet gourmands, I would caution you on buying a 4-wick in this, say if you have a small apartment, or even my home is about 1,700 square feet. It's a single story. I have the open concept area of my living room has high ceilings. So, the open concept of this does very well and it's perfect out there. But if you have a smaller apartment or maybe lower ceilings, smaller rooms that you plan to burn it in, I would advise not going for a larger size vessel. I would probably stick with this 3-wick. So overall, you guys, performance is good. Highly recommend it based on the performance, but again, might want to put a little bit of those caution flags out there if you're somebody who can find super sweet gourmands to be cloying. Maybe only get this in a 3-wick, or if you're on the opposite end and you like really, really strong, super, super sweet gourmand fragrances, but you have a large open concept, then I think the 4-wick is probably going to perform well for you. I'm going to leave it up to you guys, but just letting you guys know my own personal experience. So that review got a little bit long and lengthy. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get these reviews a little bit shorter, but also being that these are, this fragrance again is being offered in the Halloween launch as well, just packaged as Graveyard Night. I want to give you guys a very in-depth and thorough thoughts on it. So that way, I know that there's a lot of candles to choose from this time of year, maybe help you make a little bit better decision about whether or not a candle is going to be a good fit for you. Hence why these are so detailed. So anyways, I do have an affiliate discount code with Kringle. It is Katie15. It will save you 15% off of your purchase there. So if you're planning to purchase this one anytime soon or any of the Halloween candles later on this week, I really appreciate it if you choose to use my code. I know that there's quite a few of us ambassadors who do a really good job covering the brand. So I always appreciate it when my code is used. It is eligible for a commission, so please only use that if you are comfortable doing so. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have purchased this one. If you've purchased this and also had Graveyard Night, chime in. Do you think that they're the same fragrance? Always curious to hear all of your guys' thoughts. So I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.